Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 645. Hockey in Utah, upsets in Champions League, and food in stadiums. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well for me. How are you?
Not too bad. I mean, I'm a little bit in mourning. The Coyotes are leaving the state of Arizona. So no more official NHL hockey team in the state of Arizona where the ice is always melted, but...
Yeah, moving to Salt Lake City, right? It makes slightly more sense for Salt Lake City to have an ice hockey team, although I can say, certainly, having lived there for 8 years as a kid, I don't feel like there was a hockey culture when I was there. Maybe that's changed. My school did not have an ice hockey team. I don't know where the nearest rink would have been to my house.
That's surprising. I did see, when I was in Salt Lake City last year, I did see 2 hockey rinks as I drove around. So maybe they've been building them up since you've left.
It's possible. I mean, yeah, it's been a long time, so things could have changed, but it wasn't like when I was there, the big sports were lacrosse, basketball, rugby was like reasonably big, American football, like the traditional sports. Like lacrosse was the kind of the non-major sport that was really big. I mean, I know there's areas of the US where lacrosse is the biggest thing, but like that was the sort of major focus for most things.
Official sport of Canada. Yeah. Great trivia question.
But yeah, it seems, I don't know, Salt Lake City, obviously only one professional sports team there. Yeah. So for a relatively large city that I know population-wise continues to grow, maybe at an environmental cost.
Not as big as Phoenix.
No, sure. But
I did see at the last game the Coyotes had was a home game, and they were doing the Salt Lake sucks chant. And then apparently, like, I think one of the Instagram accounts of Salt Lake responded being like, just wait till we take the D-backs too. Which is pretty funny. But I mean, like it's a little bit of a shame. I mean, because it's weird because I feel like there's the notion that, you know, people don't want hockey in Phoenix, and how can you have hockey in Phoenix? It's a desert, blah, blah, blah. But then when you live here, there actually is a really strong hockey culture. And a lot of it is people who, you know, probably lived in the Northeast or lived in Michigan or Minnesota and moved down here to kind of get away from the cold, but still love hockey and go to games and play a lot. But like there is a pretty strong hockey culture. And when they were good, they would sell out. I mean, I don't blame fans for not going to watch a team that sucks or a team where an owner is just selling away all the talent constantly. You know, no one wants to watch that crap. But when good teams came in, they would sell out. Like I know when the Oilers came or like when the Leafs came, they would always almost sell out those games. And those games were always hard to find tickets for because I always wanted to go, you know, see Connor McDavid the last few years and things like that. And they weren't cheap tickets. So, you know, I think it's maybe a better owner will turn the team around. I mean, they have a history of notoriously terrible owners. So, and this recent one was no exception. So,
yeah, possibly. I don't know. I don't think it's the kind of ringing endorsement for the fan base of a sports team to be like, well, it's really tough to get tickets when a big team comes to town, because that's just, you know, people viewing a team as being like occasional source of entertainment, not being real fans, if you see what I mean. Like there's a big difference there.
Well, but I think it's tough when your team has never really been successful. Like I understand, like if you're a fan, you're a fan, but that's a little different when teams have been around for a while and they have like some success or they have a history. But when you've been a team for only 20 odd years, a little over 20 years, and you've made the playoffs like 3 times, you know, that's not, you know, you don't have history. It's really tough to get a fan base when you're never good.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think it's a tough one for hockey because I guess the argument would be that you could move a franchise to probably pretty much anywhere in Canada and they'd probably sell out whether or not they were good or not. Like Montreal City, Quebec City, right, really wants a team. they don't have one. So moving it to Salt Lake obviously isn't answering that particular.
Well, apparently they really want a team.
I think Salt Lake really wants more professional sports teams, right? They were pushing for the Oakland A's pretty hard. So, and I think they, there's, and it makes sense. It's a pretty large city to only have one professional sports team, like to only have the Jazz in Salt Lake. It is true that's, there aren't many bigger cities in America with only that one team. Admittedly, picking a hockey team that then plays there's like direct season overlap with the NBA season. So you're not like creating year-round sport. Like baseball would have been a more natural fit because then you would have said between the Jazz and a baseball team, you have year-round professional sports in Salt Lake City. But I'll see. Yeah. I don't really have an NHL team. Maybe I have a slight soft spot now for.
Well, it was a weird deal too. I mean, the owner, what's his name, Murillo, whatever. He makes out like crazy because he bought this team when they were shit and like they had so much controversy, then dumped them into a 5,000 seater college stadium for 2 years, and now turned around and sold the team for $1 billion, kind of like to the NHL directly, and then the NHL is now selling it to the Jazz owner for like 1.3 billion. So like he's making a ton of money. Like he made money off of this deal, basically picking up a shitty franchise and continuing to run it like shit. Made a ton of money off it, and then the NHL is making money off of it because now they're selling it at an up price to the Jazz owner and some other people, I think. So it's like a win-win for everyone except the owner who had to pay a little extra for the Jazz. But the interesting part is that the owner, the previous Coyotes owner, will keep the rights to anything Coyotes related. So like he still owns all the trademarks for the Coyotes and the Roadrunners and blah, 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 and has like a set amount of time to reestablish a hockey franchise in Phoenix, because supposedly he's going to get this stadium built, and they've been trying and like he promises he's the city of Phoenix, he's going to get this stadium built. And if he does, they can start a new franchise there with those rights. It's kind of like part of the agreement, but I think it's only like 5 years. And I don't think that's going to happen, but it's kind of what is being said.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they change their name to. It's the first time, obviously, the Jazz is, a name not linked with Salt Lake City, is from a previous team move.
Man, you're so jumping the gun here, Eddie.
You've got some.
I got a list of like 40 for you. I was going to run down.
Okay. Well, maybe not 40. Let's maybe
give me some quick reactions. Okay. Are you ready for some potential names? These are what's been being thrown out there. These are not names I came up with. These are names that people have put out there. So make that clear.
I'm not surprised that you haven't been sitting around wondering what the Salt Lake City.
Well, I just want to make that clear in case some of them are quite controversial.
Okay. All right. I see.
Okay. The Utah Blizzard.
No.
Okay. The Utah Venom.
No. Terrible.
The Utah Fury.
Also terrible.
Okay. The Utah Hockey Club.
I'm okay with that, actually. Okay. I'd prefer that to be. I know they've already said it's going to be Utah on the.
It's going to be. Yeah, I keep saying Utah because it will be Utah in the name. It won't be Salt Lake City.
They have said that already, but I have to say that if you were going hockey club, the Salt Lake City Hockey Club sounds way better than the Utah Hockey Club.
What about Utah HC?
It's okay. Salt Lake City Hockey Club sounds a little bit like either obviously a rival to like Soho Club somewhere, or like a clothing brand that he started that you'd see ads on for Instagram, but you've never actually really seen in person.
Yeah. But I bought on Instagram because I liked one of their shirts, and when it came, it fit terribly, and I was too lazy to return it because I've done that about 6 times. But the problem with Salt Lake City Hockey Club is it's too many initials, because it'd be the SLCHC. That's a little too much.
Great. That's great. Imagine I think that's
just
wonderful.
The shirt alone would cover your whole like chest. SLCHC.
You could do a great logo, but anyway.
Okay. The Utah Honey Badgers, because that's their state mammal.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah.
I'll still say no. That's probably, I suppose, maybe I'll put that number 1 for now, assuming that information is correct about it being the state mammal. I probably learned that at some point in school, but yeah, keep going.
Okay. The Utah Red Rattlers. So red because of Red Rock and Rattlers because of the rattlesnake.
No.
Okay. The Utah Prospectors.
It's okay. I still don't love it, but This is a very bad list so far, so I'm trying to be kind to a few of them.
So the first 5 or 6 I named, those were all recently trademarked a few days ago. So that's why those are pretty popular. The Utah Yeti or the Utah Yetis. That's been a pretty big one. There have already been mock jerseys showing up for those.
I don't hate that. Yeah, I don't hate it. It's still, I mean, I would, I'll say that's maybe, it has a good kind of flow to it. So it maybe is top of the list so far, but I'm still not in love with any of them.
You've got the Utah Jazz. How about the Utah Jizz? I'm so happy I didn't laugh when I said that. That one made me laugh so bad.
That would be number 1. I'll vote for that. If there's a petition somewhere online and they've said if it gets 1 million votes they have to call themselves something, I'd vote for the Utah.
How about the Utah Phoenix? A little play on the origin.
I actually kind of don't hate that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But how about the Utah Latter-day Skates?
That's quite clever.
All right. How about the Utah 2 Utes? That was a pretty good one. How about the Utah Sister Wives?
Okay, I knew there was going to be some Mormon jokes coming
in here. And the Utah Polygamous was a big one.
That's better than the Sister Wives.
But this is the one that everyone is really pushing. What was the one they pushed for Seattle? Oh, the bitch pigeons or whatever. What was it called?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah,
something like that. This is the one this is the equivalent. The Utah Stormin' Mormons.
It's not. Again, they would never do it, obviously, but it's not the worst name. It's at least not insulting to the Mormon religion. Not that I'm someone who particularly treads lightly when it comes to offending religious people.
The Utah Mommy Milkers. Let me see other ones. There's a lot of Salt Lake City ones, but obviously we know it's not being called Salt Lake City. But one was the Salt Lake City Snipes. That was a pretty good one, but could be a little controversial. The Salt Lake Soakers. Salt Lake Sniffers. But that's the Utah Canyons. That was one I saw.
Yeah, it's tough, right, too, because when you make it is that. As someone who lived in Salt Lake, a lot of these names are alluding to southern Utah elements, the desert, and when you live in Salt Lake City, that doesn't feel like part of your reality or identity, if you see what I mean. The state around, the Salt Lake City area does not feel at all like Moab. So some of these names are kind of incongruous with what you think of really as within Salt Lake City, which I don't know. I'd be reluctant to name a team something that kind of doesn't relate to where they're actually, the area of the state in which they're actually playing, and the area of the state in which, I don't know, 95% of the population lives.
Yeah.
It's not like you have some large cities in southern Utah that you're going to be appealing to those populations. So, yeah.
I mean,
it's a tough one.
It looks like, I'm looking at some comment sections and things like that. It looks like Yetis is one of the biggest ones that people are pitching besides the Stormin' Mormons. It's pretty much number 2 to that. And the Salt Lake Soakers.
Soakers is obviously not going to happen.
And then there are some really great comments though. Like I saw one that was Redskins. People just dying to get the Redskins back.
For those unfamiliar, for many of our listeners, particularly I guess outside of the United States, soaking is a sort of Mormon. I don't know what the correct term would be. A version of sex that sometimes Mormons consider to be acceptable pre-marriage, which is there's sort of penetration but no movement. Occasionally with the assistance of friends who like
shake the bed,
literally, like jump on mattresses to try and create movement. But the belief being that like if you are not making the movement yourself, then it doesn't really count.
It's an unbelievable concept. It is one of the greatest loopholes I've ever heard someone try and make.
I don't think it like is as popular sometimes as the internet wants to make you believe, but it definitely is a thing. So if you've not heard of it, you can definitely go down some rabbit holes searching for soaking online. But they're obviously not going to use that name, but it's not a terrible one. The thing I struggle with Yetis is like there's no link between the Yeti and Utah. You know what I mean? Like that's not unless again that's developed since I lived there. It's not, there's no belief that there's a Yeti in the Wasatch Mountains or anything like that. So that doesn't seem like, if you're putting a team in Washington State, right? That's where people often think of like Bigfoot and stuff being, then that would make sense. Like it would have made more sense for it to be the Seattle Yetis than to be the Utah Yetis. It just sounds kind of nice, but yeah, I don't know.
So your pick is the Honey Badgers.
I still like need to. Is this the state animal of? But I don't know what my pick is based on. Because you got the Jazz, that obviously has no link whatsoever. That's just because they moved from New Orleans. You have.
So it's saying the elk is the state animal. But in this post, the person specifically said state mammal. So I don't know if that's just something that this person has like made up themselves. They've taken all the 50 state mammals and made them up themselves.
Yeah, I'm looking at the full list here. It has like everything state related.
Don't see mammal.
There's nothing. No, the state bird is the California seagull. That's a little bit strange, I guess. But no, there's no. The state insect is the honeybee. I mean, it's a big bee thing, right? That's why the minor league baseball team has always had the bee-related name. Like that would have been, that's the kind of more natural thing. It's what you think of sort of animal-wise more in Salt Lake City than anything else.
I saw one that said stingers, I think. But again, that would be Salt Lake Stingers would be better than Utah Stingers.
Yeah.
I think Utah Jizz is where it's at.
The state fish is the cutthroat trout. We could go for something.
Cutthroat trout.
Yeah. And the state crustacean is the brine shrimp. That's an exciting one.
Oh, this is one I forgot. The golden eagle has been brought up a lot because that's the state bird. I've seen that. The Utah golden eagle.
The state bird is the California seagull, according to this.
Oh.
But
Utah's official state bird of prey is the golden eagle.
Okay, very nuanced list. I mean, here's the real thing: the state cooking pot is the Dutch oven, so they should be the Utah Dutch ovens.
That'd be great.
I'd be fine with that. In other news in American sport, I guess, before maybe we get on to the Champions League, quick NBA roundup, where. Not Lakers made it through their play-in game. They've made it to the playoffs. They're playing the Nuggets in the first round, so probably the end of the road there for them against the defending NBA champions. But the big story really was the Golden State Warriors losing their play-in game, which could well spell the end of the Splash Brothers and the kind of big three in Golden State with Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. It's going to be interesting to see how they do. Klay Thompson was disastrous in their game against the Kings that they lost. I mean, it wasn't a particularly close game in the end, so I don't know how much of a difference he necessarily would have made, but he didn't make a shot in that game. And that's kind of a rough way for him to sign off with he was 0 for 10 on his field goals, 0 for 6 from 3-point. So, for a team that had built themselves over shooting, over the idea of kind of shooting efficiency and being dangerous from beyond the arc, it was a kind of sad way to watch things potentially come to an end. But I will give them all credit, at least, in a world in which professional athletes often feel like they're owed something or that teams show them no loyalty. I like that at least all of the players post-loss acknowledge the fact that the Warriors had been good to them, so that no matter what happens going forward, they can't feel as if they've been mistreated by the organization, which shows a degree of maturity that you don't often see from professional athletes, because there are a lot of people who always want to try and find some way in which they've been slighted. Draymond Green even acknowledged that Klay Thompson had been paid $160 million after destroying his ACL. So, there can be no complaints from any of those players in terms of the treatment they've had from the Warriors.
So is this the end of the Splash Brothers reign?
Well, I think it's definitely the end of the Splash Brothers reign. I think without a complete rebuild, I don't think Golden State will be title challengers, championship competitors anytime soon. But I think it could be the end of the Splash Brothers as a whole, whether or not Draymond Green's kind of been a locker room cancer over the past couple of years. Klay Thompson plays really badly, also suffers.
Draymond Green might just be an earth cancer.
It's true. It's true.
You know what I have to say, though, real quick? There have been one of my favorite things was when there was why can't Caitlin Clark play in the NBA? And then there's just videos of Draymond Green just punching and kicking and elbowing people. And it just makes me laugh so much just thinking about that.
Speaking of earth cancers, I don't know if you saw I'm sure you're not a subscriber. Well, this is a good opportunity for us to say, if you're listening to the episode, make sure that you subscribe, leave us a review, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Probably you're not a listener to Aaron Rodgers' podcast, but did you see his latest?
This resurfaced, didn't it?
Is this a resurface?
I think it was a little slightly older. I think it was from March.
We're talking about him,
this conspiracy theory 4.0.
The HIV/AIDS conspiracy theory and accusing Fauci.
Maybe it was new, but I thought I read somewhere that it was resurfaced or something, but maybe not. Maybe it was new.
He's insane. Accusing his kind of weird war with Anthony Fauci continues. I don't understand why he seems to think that this is either his nemesis and there's some kind of personal vendetta there to destroy the life and career of Dr. Fauci. Whether or not you think he handled the pandemic perfectly is, neither here nor there. But now peddling the theory that Fauci was kind of involved in the creation of the AIDS pandemic in the 1980s.
Yeah,
that it's bizarre. It dates back. It's obviously not a new theory, but originally the theory was kind of having read into it a little bit. The original theory came about. It was a Soviet misinformation campaign in the 1980s to try and get Americans to turn against their government in the 80s, saying that the U.S. had created the AIDS virus and was infesting its own population.
Maybe the Soviet Union was just playing a long game, and the ultimate goal was to turn a 39-year-old quarterback against this country in the year 2023.
Is the thing I love listening
Mission to. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, the Soviet Union can now be viewed as a success. The thing that I love about it is part of his rant on the podcast is I do my own reading, I do my own research. I know that's vilified now, but I can read. I know I'm not an immunologist or an epidemiologist, but
the best part is he said epidemiologist first, as if he doesn't understand that science isn't done by epidemiologists. It's just, basic research isn't done by an epidemiologist.
And then said, but I know it's vilified, but I can read. And it's like, well, if you read a little bit more though, because it's very funny. It's like the do your own research often leads people back to, but if you were properly doing your own research, you'd come across lots of information that shows
Both
that this
sides.
was, yeah, that this was he's always accusing there of being these like psyops campaigns. This was a psyops campaign in the 1980s, and it was disproven 30 years ago. And now you're just stumbling again across it again. I don't know. It's really
been like
bizarre.
repurposed for people like Aaron Rodgers now
who hate Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating to me. I don't know how I would feel if I were his teammate. Like if you play on the Jets right now, I don't know. I would not want to have any conversations with him fundamentally. Like, sitting and like having lunch and Aaron Rodgers sits down next to you, I would be terrified. Like, what topics can you bring up that would not lead you into dangerous waters?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I agree with you there, but knowing the age and the maturity level of a modern NFL locker room, I don't think they fucking give a shit or have any idea what the hell he's talking about. Like, I mean, let's picture the San Francisco 49ers coming out of their locker room with a 12-foot boombox blasting rap music, dancing down the street, the hallway. Whoa. I don't think at the same time they're just like, hey guys, real quick, before we go out there, can we discuss the merits of the current vaccination program?
So I'm not thinking on game day he's going to be, although it wouldn't stun me if pre-game he was wanted to have these types of conversation. Like that would feel very on brand for Aaron Rodgers. But I think over the course of preseason, or as I said, when you're sitting down to eat, when you're like,
no one's going out to eat with Aaron Rodgers. Come on.
Well, no, in the facility. You're definitely he's not eating by himself.
He's eating with the coaches.
Even if I were a coach, then I'd be worried. Imagine you're like getting a massage on the treatment table, and he
all right, Deshaun Watson.
And he's on the treatment table next to you. So then you're locked in for having your hamstrings worked on for 20 minutes while he starts to say to you like, "Did you ever think that HIV was a hoax?" Like where do you go from there? It would be tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you just kind of just like nod your head and let him talk, which is probably part of the problem. He thinks he's getting an audience, but people are probably just like, all right, dude, just continue talking because I'm not going to actually interact with you.
Plus, it's hard to nod your head when you got your head in one of those massage table holes, so
which are never as comfortable as you think they're going to be.
So yeah, it's a weird one. It makes him so, because it's funny because his career has evolved over time, where there were rumors of how difficult and unlikable he was in the early parts of his career. And then now it's difficult to think that those weren't always correct and the case. And it's true. Also, you can look back. He's always been a conspiracy theorist, which is always the things that fascinate me about conspiracy theorists, is that they're never just finding one thing that they really believe in. It's got to be like, you're either all in with conspiracies or you're not. You never meet the person who's like, look, I just don't think we landed on the moon. But everything else is like the people are idiots when it comes to this other stuff. It's like, no, I don't think we landed on the moon. The Earth might be flat. And then on top of it, like the pandemic was made up. And, we're being controlled by the New World Order. Like,
did you see Apple TV's making a show about faking the moon landing? Like, how they hired someone to put together like a scene of them filming a fake moon landing.
Oh, is this involving Stanley Kubrick? Because that's always the big accusation.
I don't know if it's Stanley Kubrick, the one who, but it doesn't even look that good. So I don't know if I'll watch it.
Apple TV. It's pretty hit or miss, and it's mostly miss, Apple TV shows.
I disagree. I think it's mostly hit, but...
Really?
I think they have a lot more good shows than people give them credit for.
I think they have maybe 10 good shows, which for the type of budget...
that's not bad.
It's not great for the amount of money they're pumping into making TV shows. Like, I've been watching... we've spoken about Manhunt a little bit. I've been enjoying it, but like, there's some laughable moments in Manhunt. Like the acting at times is a little bit questionable. The writing is strange. There's some interesting decisions that are going on in a show that involves some pretty good actors and clearly a fairly large budget. Like it's a little bit odd. So I don't
mean,
know. I
you
think
have the best comedy of the last 5 years in Ted Lasso.
oh, okay. I mean, I'm not willing to put that as the best comedy from the last 5 years. I think Ted Lasso had one extremely good season and then kind of coasted for the rest of the show, and it was good and it was enjoyable, but it's not like the best anything from the last 5. It's the
It
best
might be.
sports-based comedy from the last 5 years. I'll give you that. And
It
even
has
then,
Severance, which is probably one of the better shows
Severance
of
is
the
very
last
good.
5 years. It has Slow Horses, which I think is one of the better like crime thriller shows of the last.
Yeah.
You know,
It's okay. Slow Horse is okay. You like it. I'm not a huge fan, but okay. It
and
has
then
Shrinking.
yeah, it's Shrinking, and then it has like a lot of shows that are good but not great, but are entertaining to watch. Like Silo wasn't great, but it was entertaining. For All Mankind, I think is actually very entertaining. It's not the greatest show; you can pick a ton of holes in it, but it is entertaining to watch. Like I do enjoy that show.
So
People
this
love
is great,
Foundation.
but this is great. But so quick Google, this could be completely wrong. If you Google though, for me, Apple TV annual budget, the first hit is an article from the Telegraph. Why is Apple spending billions to make TV nobody's watching? And it's supposedly spending $6.5 billion dollars. $6.5 billion annually on TV budget. Now, that's obviously not entirely production. That's also them buying the rights to some things, I'm assuming. But still, this is to kind of take us back into the world of sports. You're kind of pointing, this is like running an NFL franchise and being like, guys, we're not that bad. I mean, like, we had that really good tight end for a couple years. And don't you remember that great season from our left tackle? Like, this is, and it's like, yeah, but we went 2-15. It's like, yeah, but that one win, though, we beat the Steelers 38-10 on Thursday Night Football. That was a pretty good day, wasn't it?
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I will say, like, you take another streamer like Netflix, which probably pumps up just as much money. I don't honestly know the last show on Netflix that I was like, that is a legitimately good show. Do they have entertaining, like, bingey shows? Yes. But what was, like, the last great Netflix show? Like Queen's Gambit? Was that the one that was, like, critically acclaimed?
So I don't obviously love it, but people do really enjoy Three Body Problem. So that's a Netflix original.
To be determined, Eddie. I will give you the definitive answer on Three Body Problem in about a month.
But if I was saying
almost done with book 2.
Over the last 5 years, what have they had that I would say I've really enjoyed? Ozark.
Ozark was good, but that's like 4 years ago now.
Right. Well, you were giving Apple TV this 5-year period. I mean, I'm not, again.
The Gentleman, that was okay. That was recent. That was pretty good. But again, I wouldn't put it any better than like For All Mankind.
It's sometimes tough for me when I look at these lists because Netflix does a lot of sort of joint productions where I'm not really sure. Like people love, I actually really enjoy The Last Kingdom. Like The Last Kingdom is kind of like a mixture. I think it's like the BBC and which a lot of Netflix shows are. They're like the BBC in the UK or they're Netflix in the US. And I don't know who you're giving credit to then. Is that it's obviously some money coming in from Netflix, but are we giving more credit there to the BBC for making a show? I don't know what the kind of production process looks like in terms of how.
I mean, I think it's just more recently because I can give you great examples of Netflix shows like Stranger Things. Obviously a big one. Dark was a huge one.
Squid Game, huge.
Yeah, but was it good?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Squid Game.
Mindhunter, phenomenal, but that's now a while ago.
Yeah, that might be almost 10 years old, really.
Yeah, like I'm not saying Netflix doesn't have good shows, but recently they haven't been that great. So that's why, like, I think people don't give Apple credit because they still think of Netflix as this amazing production machine when a lot of these things that we've named are actually pretty old now. Like Ozark started like 10 years ago. Stranger Things started like 10 years ago.
Don't get me started on Stranger Things. Yeah. You know, I have strong opinions on some of the cast from Stranger Things. I do think you're right, but I mean, overall, right? I think
I
Netflix
wasn't
has
sure
like
what you were talking about at first, but then it all clicked.
uh, longtime listeners will be familiar of my opinions on some of the cast of Stranger Things. The I think you're not wrong. I guess the problem is Netflix gets some kind of legacy credit because it obviously sort of paved the way from a streaming perspective. And now I do think as a whole, people are pretty frustrated with all the streamers because we're working our way back. Like the original promise of Netflix was like every TV show you want in one place, reduce the costs you spend on satellite or cable TV, like make everything way easier. And then now it's like, well, now I need 7 streaming platforms. So I'm spending more than possibly I was even before if I want to have all of these things. And I'm having to switch between these platforms, which is actually kind of more annoying than switching channels because it's a little bit more tedious. And I don't know where a show is. And I might miss a show because I pay more attention to Netflix than I do to Disney or, you know. So it's almost becoming a worse user experience than it was previously. But I think Netflix at least gets some of the credit for like not being the cause of that. Whereas some of these newer players, it's like, come on, guys, you're just making. I get it, you're after your own dollar, but you're kind of ruining the streaming experience by trying to make us have to have like 19 streaming services at the same time.
Yeah. Amazon might be the worst.
But at least Amazon has it going for them is that you kind of need Amazon Prime and you're just getting that for free.
But now they screwed you because now you get commercials with Amazon Prime.
Unless you pay a little bit more,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm quite nostalgic about commercials sometimes. I so rarely watch
it's the
live
same
TV.
3 fucking commercials every time. It is
Well, that's
drive nuts.
That's the same experience I have on YouTube, right? Like YouTube, I in a month I'll see the same 5 or 6 commercials, and you just see them over and over again. You learn the little song that's going on behind them. You know, it is a bit painful, but it's not that different. You watch live sport. You know, you sit through a Sunday of the Masters, and I mean, I know in the U.S. the Masters is like there's no commercials, right? Isn't that one of the Masters conditions?
Kind of, yeah.
At
a certain time point.
Yeah. The UK, obviously, you're still getting some of them, but it's not but you're getting the same 6 commercials. You know, if you watch golf for 4 hours, you're going to see the same probably 10 commercials repeated over and over again. They're not exactly mixing it up. Once they have a pretty good idea of the demographic, they are really honing in on you. But who knows? All right. From that quick derail of conspiracy theories and streaming platforms, maybe worth covering perhaps the biggest sports news of the week, which was the Champions League quarterfinals that took place over Tuesday and Wednesday, with, I guess, in the end, a few surprising results based on sort of what was expected.
Almost
certainly
all
coming
surprising, actually.
Based on the balance of things going into the second legs. Yeah, I mean, Bayern. So
the Bayern Munich one, I maybe not surprising. Like they still are Bayern Munich, right? And Arsenal. So some people here on this podcast don't think very highly of Arsenal. So,
so 3 of the 4 favorites heading into the second legs went out.
Yeah.
So Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Manchester City were all favorites heading into their second leg to qualify, with Barcelona and Manchester City actually being quite heavy favorites heading into that second leg. And then Bayern Munich were slight favorites heading into that. Obviously, it was 2-2, so fairly evenly balanced, and they were slight favorites heading into that. So not surprising to see them go through. Yeah, which match should we start with?
Well, I just quickly for the PSG Barcelona match, when Barcelona went a man down, I looked at the odds, and the odds for PSG to qualify were still only like minus 120 or like 4-5, which to me was crazy. So that was like the only bet I made on Champions League for that entire 2 days. And it turned out to be pretty nice because then they just kind of cruised through and ended up winning pretty easily. So I was surprised by that. It didn't shift it as much as I thought it was going to.
Yeah. No, I also saw those odds in running And it was a bit surprising, but I guess when you think about it, they were two goals. They were 2 goals ahead, so you have that 2-goal cushion, and so you're thinking either PSG are going to have to score three unanswered goals,
or take it to extra,
or we're going to penalties or whatever. So it felt like maybe you would say that's sort of evenly balanced, I suppose, with sort of 60 minutes to go. And in the end, once PSG got that first goal just before halftime, you always speak about the fact that goals just before halftime sort of affect teams a bit more. And then there's the tide of the match really quickly turned. I feel a little bit I think Barcelona are a little unfortunate because they were in control of that tie completely up until the red card.
Yeah.
So I think there's no way they would have gone out had they not had a man sent off. The decision to, I think he should have just not done it. They would have been far better off allowing PSG to score than being down to 10 men. I know Gundogan has subsequently come out after the match and said he should have just let him go. Like, there was no point making a challenge. It's easy, obviously, with hindsight to feel that way, but yeah, I think if it had been 1-1, you still would have felt pretty comfortable that Barcelona were at home, 1 goal ahead on aggregate, and felt in control of the tie, versus they had to take off one of their their biggest attacking threats. You have to completely shift in terms of your approach, change your formation, and they were just out of it from that point on. But it's a little bit disappointing because PSG, I don't think Mbappe, with the lack of effort he's showing at the moment, deserves to be able to sign off with a Champions League win during his time. And by that, I mean, if they somehow manage to actually win the Champions League, would say they're third favorites to do right now. Like, Real Madrid are favorites, Bayern Munich are second favorites, PSG are then there. But there's a very good chance, obviously, PSG are on the easier side of the draw. They have to play Dortmund in the next round. I think PSG are rightfully favorites in that matchup against Dortmund. So then you put PSG in a one-off final against either Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, they have a chance. So there is this, to me, a nightmare scenario of Kylian Mbappe getting to say goodbye to Paris as a winner of the Champions League and sort of feel as if he delivered on all of the promises that he's ever made. And this PSG in major investment, in a sense, becomes a bit of a success story right as it was about to become a massive failure, because they were about to look at the next season with no star power. But yeah, they're lucky. My only hope now from the remaining 5 Champions League matches is that it doesn't end with PSG winning. That's it. I'll take any of the other 3. I'd like a Dortmund Bayern final and Bayern winning. That to me would be the nicest outcome. But
interesting you said that, because the last time Dortmund have made it this far was the 2012-2013 season, where they made it to the finals and played Bayern Munich and lost, and that was also at Wembley. So you could have an exact repeat of that situation.
Could do. And maybe Bayern Munich will bring Frank, who scored the goal. It wasn't Ribéry. It was his name now escapes me. Dutch Arjen Robben, I think, scored the goal. But can bring him out of retirement. Yeah, and the other ties.
It was Robben.
Dortmund.
And Gundogan actually had the penalty assist for Dortmund.
It was the Dortmund Atletico match, probably in the end the best tie of the quarterfinals. Really back and forth on the night, sort of going into it thinking that Atletico Madrid were in full control of the tie. Then Dortmund scored 2 goals. Then Atletico Madrid sort of retook the advantage, and then Dortmund came out on top in the end. That was a really enjoyable match to watch. I sort of switched over fully once once it was clear that Barcelona were dead and buried. Like, once PSG got level on aggregate, there was no chance that for me that Barcelona were going to go through. I just fully focused on the Atletico Madrid Dortmund match, and it was really, really fun. Not a match you would associate with an Atletico Madrid team. They're usually so defensively solid, that you don't expect them to be involved in these sort of high scoring shootouts. But it was good fun.
You say defensively solid, I say boring.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you necessarily. I'm not a huge fan of Diego Simeone. I think the sort of dark arts of football that people give him so much credit for. I think we've spoken about it previously, right? They play as if they're a smaller team than they are. They've got talented players, and they have spent a decent amount of money on players, and they don't have to resort to the style of play that they often do. If he were managing Sheffield United in the Premier League, I'd give him a lot more credit for what he's doing. But it goes back to a discussion we kind of had a little bit in the Manchester City Arsenal match, and we can have it again in the Manchester City Real Madrid balance, where Real Madrid did nothing in that second leg, really nothing. Like they tried to protect. Once they snatched that goal on the break, I think they would have taken penalties the moment the match started. I think they would have taken penalties even once they were 1-0 up. And it wasn't particularly fascinating to watch because it wasn't particularly fascinating to watch because it looked like you were watching a training match almost of one team just sitting back and trying to absorb pressure.
I mean, it kind of looked like City versus Luton Town when they put 37 shots and this time they had 33, except the only difference was they couldn't put it in.
No, and again, you can be a little bit critical. I guess Haaland kind of disappeared for the match. He didn't do too much. Ultimately, Kevin De Bruyne had a really good chance to score not long after he'd equalized, a chance that he probably takes 9 times out of 10. That would be.
I mean, there was a lot. They had a lot of chances.
But that was the one really, from 1-1 onwards, that was the one, like the ball rolling across the box, Kevin De Bruyne, enough time for kind of moving on to the ball. You just expect him to bury it. So for him to actually miss the target, very unlike him. Obviously, the big discussion really is the decisions that Guardiola made in the build-up, sort of the lead-up to the penalty shootout in terms of taking De Bruyne off and taking Haaland off when you knew there was a distinct possibility of heading to a penalty shootout, particularly Haaland, who's so reliable from the spot. I mean, okay, Alvarez comes on and Alvarez scores a penalty, so you could kind of say
that one was okay.
that was a little bit of a wash, but you would have thought if I had been in his position that the goal would have been to have Haaland and Alvarez and De Bruyne all available for three penalty takers. I was out at a bar watching the game, and as it kind of drew towards the penalty shootout, we were saying, like, what will City's 5 penalty takers look like? And it's true that we were struggling a little bit in the moment.
Did anyone pick Ederson?
No, he was kind of briefly mentioned. Because I like goalkeepers taking penalties because for the most part, you just, as long as you tell them, just lather the ball. Like treat it like a goal kick and just smash this ball. I'm actually fine with that. You're actually dealing with players who kind of practice just putting their foot through the ball more than most players. But
I mean, maybe someone should have told Silva that.
Yeah, no, it's a tough look. I feel sorry for him in some respects. It's a bad penalty. Obviously, going down the middle, I'm not a huge fan of it, I have to say, because if I were to take a penalty in a penalty shootout, part of my thought would be, if I go down the middle and the goalkeeper doesn't move, I look bad. Yeah. Like, it's the worst possible outcome aside from missing the target.
I just go with the Hewitt philosophy that you taught me long ago. Just pick a corner and hit it hard as hell. Hit it as hard as you can fucking hit it and put it into a corner. Like, you don't have to get fancy. You don't have to go top corner. You don't have to do like the half run up, stop, run up, stop, run up, stop. Just fucking put your boot behind it, hit it as hard as you can, and try and get it to a corner.
Yeah, no, I mean, unless, like, in terms of the pacing of the run up, unless you are very good, like Tony at Brentford is very, very good in terms of the slow, he's watching the goalkeeper. If you're really good at that, that's fine. Like, I mean, Tony basically never misses penalties. Even Jorginho, with his little hop, he's pretty good. Neymar's quite good at the sort of delayed run-up to throw that make the goalkeeper make the first move. If you really know what you're doing there, what bothers me when you get to penalty shootouts is you know that there's some central defender who's never taken a meaning penalty before in his life, probably practiced a few at the end of training once in a while, and decides he's going to do the Jorginho hop as the penalty that he takes. It's like, maybe you come off looking great, but if you miss it, it doesn't. It looks really bad. The Silva one, I'm sympathetic towards him because people are are destroying him for it being a terrible penalty. I have to admit, it's not a great penalty anyway, in terms of the actual quality of this attempt. But with going down the middle, if the goalkeeper moves, then people say, whoa, what composure from Bernardo Silva. Like, wow, you know. And then when you hear the afterwards that they decided ahead of time, the Real Madrid goalkeeper was told pre-penalties to stay down the middle for the Bernardo Silva one. He was specifically told that was the only penalty where he couldn't guess. So that was the only one he was going to stay in the middle for. And you think all of that, if you're Bernardo Silva, you got to be like, okay, they've obviously done a bit of research on me, but still, I'm also unlucky that literally if anyone else had done that in the shootout, they would have been okay.
Did you also see that Rudiger pointed out what way Kovacic was going to go?
Kovacic, yeah, and that's the thing. That's the big advantage you have. I think sometimes, like, I don't think that the keeper is seeing Rudiger on the halfway line pointing above his head, because I think they will have already.
But maybe he actually said something to him before. And said, like, hey, he's going to take one. I know he's going to go this way. And then it's just kind of repeating that he's doing that when,
100%. And there, I mean, Kovacic's penalty wasn't terrible.
No,
and it made sense.
It wasn't the best, but it was
one of them. It was okay.
Rudiger was actually quite lucky.
Yes.
Like, that's the difference between a perfect, like, what a penalty, and like, oh boy, you fucked it. Inches.
Yeah. And I really felt like, obviously, once, because
Ederson made a good guess too.
What gets overlooked in this, obviously, is people being critical of City. Luka Modric, immensely talented and experienced player, most experienced player on the pitch.
Woof.
He misses the opening penalty. At which point, you think, okay, control for City. Like, this is. They'll be okay. But the only positive, I was disappointed. I think City deserved to go through. I think Real Madrid have this tendency in European competitions of just kind of riding their luck. Like, you can't convince me. And again, it goes back to a little bit of the same criticism I leveled at Arsenal and Atletico Madrid there, which is that Real Madrid are more talented than they showed in their approach to that match. They could have been more adventurous in terms of how they played.
Yeah.
And sitting back to defend a lead like that, when you do have hundreds of millions of pounds of talent on the pitch, including some of the best players in the world, some of the best attacking players in the world, I think is a real shame. And there's no like moral victories, obviously, in sport. And there's like the best team doesn't always win or go through. And I don't really care because I'm not a Manchester City supporter. I think it's a little bit of a shame I do like teams in England mostly doing well in Europe. So have no English teams in the semifinal of the Champions League is obviously a surprise. I think it's a shame for City they don't have the chance of doing the back-to-back trebles because it would have just been so incredible.
I was already looking ahead to being able to say that they did a treble.
You could have been like Pat Riley, and tried to quickly, because he trademarked the three-peat, right, and continues to make money off of that. You could have tried to quickly trademark the treble and sold a ton of T-shirts in Manchester.
Yeah, but I mean, it is so I watched most of that match, and then I actually watched the extended highlights, like YouTube clip, last night, and I mean, it's 95% just City opportunities. The extended highlights. I mean, it's. Until you get to the shootout, I think I saw, besides their goal, one other attempt that they almost had a halfway decent chance. But I mean, that match was all City. They were way more deserving to win that.
They were. And it's interesting, right? Because it feels like the failures that City had in Europe a couple of years ago, where at the time it was like, well, they need a goal scorer. Like, I mean, we had this discussion, feel like 3 years ago of, well, the missing piece for City is this, like, an outright goal scorer.
Is that when we had that asshole on the podcast that was the co-host? Was that idiot still on?
Which at first was, I was worried for a second there that you were calling out a guest. And I was like, oh no,
our guests have been great.
It's Sam. But And Haaland last year certainly fixed that. The ongoing discussion, and you saw a little bit even in that. I actually thought Haaland, it wasn't one of his worst performances. He was fairly involved.
Hit the crossbar.
I think, yeah, on a kind of loopy header, but yeah. His closing down, his work rate did seem to be improved over what it is sometimes. He did seem to be kind of playing as part of the team a bit more.
He was in the match.
They do kind of play with 10 men with him. Like, there's no doubt about that. And I think, for example, you look back, they pushed so hard to sign Harry Kane. And I do think Harry Kane in the City side, they do become somewhat unstoppable just because he would contribute so much to their all-round play that they don't get out of Haaland and still offer the same level of clinical finishing that Haaland provides them with. But I don't know. It's a little bit. It's this Real Madrid. They have a lot of confidence. The one positive I took away from it is obviously Bellingham and Foden both scoring penalties, and with the Euros not too far away, it's good to see English players getting a bit of experience in big sort of high pressure penalty shootouts. Like, you now have to assume if England get to go to have a penalty shootout in the Euros, that Bellingham and Foden would both be taking them, ideally. Foden, obviously, the question is he on the pitch at the end of the 120 minutes? Just because England have so many options in that position. The other thing I'll be critical of Guardiola for, like, you can give him some credit with the decision to take Kevin De Bruyne off. The argument is that he was pushing to try and win the match in extra time. And I think that's somewhat admirable, that he knew that Kevin De Bruyne was sort of running on empty and that there was a chance here to kill the game, not take the risk of penalties. The weird one is, like, you bring John Stones on also as a late substitute in extra time, which I thought John Stones is going to take a penalty. Like, this is why he's a defender, but this is why the substitutions you're making in the final 5 to 10 minutes of extra time have to be with also the thought in mind of where we are putting together the 5-6 penalty takers we're going to use. And then Stones didn't do anything. It's a bit strange too, but yeah. Disappointing end for City. I guess at least they get the nice thing for them with how tight this title race is, and with the potential for a little bit of a hangover. You have the disappointment of going out in Europe. At least they have the FA Cup this weekend, the semi-final against Chelsea, which I know they'll want to win. But if they do have some kind of hangover and that's where they slip up, that's the far better moment for them to slip up than at some point in the league.
I don't think they're going to have a hangover. I think they're going to have an anger-over. They're going to be angry about that loss, and they're going to take it out on Chelsea.
I did think that was the interesting thing. I was watching the match with some Arsenal supporters and some Liverpool supporters. All of them wanted City to lose. And I thought, like, you want City to have more matches. Like, you want City to have 2 European, like, Champions League semifinals.
I hate them.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
Because you have at that moment in time, Arsenal, not yet, because they weren't. Well, once they went to extra time, Arsenal had already been knocked out. So if you're a Liverpool Arsenal supporter watching the game extra time onwards, you are a neutral in the Champions League. So why wouldn't you want City to have 2 matches midweek that they then have to worry about? Like, when do we rest players? How do we manage them? Now they get this, things become far simpler for them. They know 100% that they can, that's 2 matches that they were probably planning on having off the fixture list. Like, yeah, great for them. And then Arsenal against Bayern Munich, I got to say that was a super flat performance from Arsenal. They had a couple of periods in the match where things sort of improved for them. The start of the second half, they got a little bit better, but overall, just, if you would watch the last 4 or 5 Arsenal performances in isolation, you'd think they were a mid-table team.
Oh, love
it. This isn't me like talking head hot take. I just mean genuinely. It would be difficult to watch the performance that they put in against Bayern Munich over those 2 legs, against Manchester City away, against Aston Villa at the weekend. if you watched all of those matches and then you told me this team thinks that they're the best in England, they think they're winning the Premier League, you'd laugh the person out of the room.
I love it.
I mean,
it. Do you want me to have nephew Kyle put the TikTok camera on?
I think it's just impossible. They've been so flat, and maybe it's because they're tired. City have mentioned it. Ten Hag commented on the fact that he sees City and thinks that they look tired now compared to how they looked a month ago. 2 months ago.
Is that their thing? They just get tired with 5 matches to go in a season?
Arsenal, maybe.
Yeah. Bad conditioning.
But yeah, and it goes back, right? When they had that great season last year, it was like, look, this is your moment because you have no European football.
Decently good season.
Yeah, but... And I also, I got to say too, Arsenal supporters, and we've spoken about this on other episodes recently, their ability to adjust. So many of the supporters I was speaking to on Wednesday go out of the Champions League. Looks like they probably won't win the Premier League. It's still a good season. So they said, oh yeah, it's still. I would have taken this if you told me this preseason that this is what we were going to lose to Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals and be in the running to win the Premier League with a few games to go. It's like, yeah, but you also need to be told that Bayern are shit. Like this is. This is a Bayern Munich who cannot win. It's mid-April and have already lost the Bundesliga
for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. Like this isn't.
Yeah,
I understand. Under normal circumstances, you'd say a 1-goal aggregate defeat to Bayern is not a bad one of them. Good squad, one of the most experienced sides in European football. But the reality is, I even said at one moment, they're like, yeah, but they're so good. Eric Dyer's starting for them. How good do you really? This is basically losing to Spurs, and I'm not saying that's just because it's just two former Spurs players. It's a fifth of their starting lineup, but I just mean in terms of like the quality of the team that's really out there. Like if Spurs played Bayern Munich over 2 legs out this season, I'd make Spurs favorite, and I'd feel comfortable in that prediction.
But then Then wouldn't you make Arsenal favorite?
I did have them as favorites, but it turns out that they can't deliver on, I thought even heading into Wednesday, I thought they were going to go through. I thought that they would find a way. It did feel like a match anyway, where the first goal, it's so cliched, but the first goal was going to be crucial. And the one thing I will say is, once they went 1 goal down, I thought it was over. I had no belief in me whatsoever that they were going to find a way back into that tie. And to me, that's the biggest indictment of them in terms of the quality of the team. Versus City, when they were 1-0 down, I was the opposite. I was like, you can't, City will find a goal. Like, yes, this will get tricky if it's 2 all of a sudden. But
Arsenal are great at parking the bus. They're not very good at starting it up and getting it moving.
And if you want to know that I know Arsenal fans really agree with what I've just said, at halftime, former co-host Sam sent me a text message. So City were 1-0 down, so a goal behind on aggregate. Bayern and Arsenal were 0-0, so completely level on aggregate. And he sent me the message, who would you rather be right now, City or Arsenal? So he's legitimately asking the question, would you rather be the team losing in one match or the team leveled in the other match? That shows you what Arsenal fans really think about how good they are.
I mean, maybe it was just asking you a question.
No. He doesn't just ask me questions. He's not that kind of guy. But yeah, that wraps up. And then obviously Europa League.
So I guess we should say it's PSG versus Dortmund.
Yeah.
And then Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid in the semis.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the historic matchups in European football, obviously, between Bayern and Real Madrid. So that will be really interesting. PSG, Dortmund, hard to get too excited about. I got to be perfectly honest with you. Like a mediocre PSG side against Dortmund, who at no point in time have been competitive in the Bundesliga this season. Like it's a tough one to say is what you would hope for from a Champions League semifinal.
That was actually a question I had for you. Do do you think that Champions League is kind of missing out a little bit by having the competitors be previous champions or good teams? Like I feel like it's a slight, I don't know if disservice is a word, but it slightly just kind of sucks that you don't actually have this year's top teams competing to be the top European club.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real fix for that, right? Because
I know,
the only
I
thing
understand
is,
you can't unless you did like, no, there's really no fix for it. But
the argument always is right. Originally, the Champions League or the European, it was supposed to be the champions,
just the winners, yeah.
Like, and it would feel, then you could make the argument of like, okay, Dortmund aren't that good this year, but they did win the Bundesliga last year. Whereas it's like, well, Dortmund weren't that good last year either. Like they've made their way to the semifinal through a little bit of good fortune, obviously some good play, and a slightly favorable draw for sure. Like they haven't had to go up against any of the big favorites in the Champions League in order to get to where they are. So, but yeah, there's no easy fix to it aside from reducing the number of teams involved.
Just take,
because
like,
I would
take like the top 8 domestic leagues, waiting till they have the champion, and then just putting them against each other.
Yeah, like, because I would rather watch, for people, it's not that I only want to watch big teams. I mean, I don't support a big team, but I'd rather be watching a semifinal right now that had like Sporting Lisbon in it, because, or not their real name, but yeah, I'd rather be watching Sporting playing and say, well, maybe they're not quite as good, but they're in a really good form in their domestic league. And so that's a nicer story than the team who've had an ultimately pretty disappointing. You look at this and you think Dortmund and Bayern have both been disappointing domestically, and they might get bailed out by having been a combination of good and lucky in a handful of knockout matches they're going to have to play in the Champions League. And the biggest, we've spoken about it over the last few weeks, but the biggest winner out of all of that might end up being Harry Kane, because there is a very good chance at this stage that he could end up a Champions League winner. And I think that makes his first season at Bayern a success, even though it's been a catastrophic failure domestically. I mean, less so on an individual. He still scored a lot of goals in the Bundesliga, but like they, blew it in the German Cup. They were miles behind Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, and then they might still end up champions of Europe. What a great season in some respects. It's a really weird one too, because we spent the last few years talking about how unstoppable the Premier League is, and we could be looking at a German winner of the Champions League and a German winner of the Europa League, because Leverkusen are favorites at the moment to now in the semifinals of the Europa League, with Liverpool unable to overturn the 3-goal deficit that they had at Atalanta.
And that's the thing for me. Like, it's like Leverkusen are in such good form this year. Who knows what's going to happen next year when they are then in the Champions League next year? That team isn't going to be the same team. Even if it is the same team, maybe you just don't have that same magic, that you had this year. So it kind of sucks for teams like that and clubs like that maybe have that one phenomenal season where they put it all together and they're just in such great form, and then the next season it just never fully clicks like it does. And I guess like City, whatever, like City are going to be there for a while, and teams like that, like Bayern Munich, are going to be there for a while. But those teams, it kind of sucks when the Champions League is like the following year scenario situation.
Yeah, at least in Leverkusen's case, right? Like Alonso has decided to stay, because it would have felt really weird had they had this incredible one season and then your manager leaves and maybe one or two of the players leave and you look like a completely different version of yourselves the year on when you're kind of back in Champions League football. But I mean, the interesting thing is, like, if you could swap Leverkusen and Dortmund right now in the Champions League, like, I assume I would make Leverkusen favorites against PSG. So I guess I'd maybe say they're second. Like, if I were setting the odds, I think I'd have Leverkusen second favorite to win the Champions League, because I'd put Real Madrid as the favorites. And then I don't even know, because that part of me that, like, Bayern against Leverkusen in the Champions League final, I'd have to make Leverkusen favorites in that, based on everything we've seen out of their head-to-head in Germany this season. So, yeah, I mean, you could make the case if Leverkusen win the Europa League. You can make the case that they've been the best team in Europe this season. And by that I don't mean in European competitions. I mean as a whole. So yeah, a strange one, but at least it's nice. We're looking at having. It makes if Leverkusen are in the Europa League final, it makes me as a neutral have more interest in watching the final than if it were, West Ham against Atalanta, which is like, okay, if you're a West Ham supporter or an Atalanta supporter, that's cool, but the neutral isn't exactly tuning in to see that classic. All right, any other sporting topics to cover?
Well, I kind of have a slight sports topic. So for some reason, I get a lot of Cleveland Guardians stuff pop up on my Instagram. Maybe because the one
best
time
team in baseball at the moment.
Maybe the one time we went, they'd still know that we attended a home game there. But I got this recently. I got the new additions to the food menu at the Progressive Field, right? Progressive Field? That's what it's called?
Yeah.
For 2024. So I'm going to read you the new food and beverage options, and you tell me if you would purchase this. Okay. First one, the Heater. The Heater is a Montgomery Inn pulled pork served with our special Heater hot sauce, topped with flamin' hot Cheetos and jalapeno on a Kaiser bun. Are you interested in the Heater?
No, I don't want to be sitting in the second inning of a baseball game having just thrown some stadium food in me that includes flaming hot Cheetos crunched up. I think that's I am not that big of a risk taker. I would be very worried about what that would do to my stomach.
Okay, how about chicken bacon ranch fries? Crispy French fries served with diced chicken, crumbled bacon, and drizzled with ranch dressing along with yellow queso.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
That sounds pretty good. How about the Big Mozz mozzarella? Crispy crusted mozzarella sticks served with a marinara dip. You ever heard of those?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know what the game-changing element is there, but yeah.
Okay. How about Chula bowls? Indian barbecue concept chula featuring their signature bowl served on a bed of fragrant basmati rice with a choice of spiced chicken or paneer and a choice of tikka masala sauce or yellow lentil dal. You say no to flaming hot Cheetos, but do you say yes to Indian food? We did have great Indian food at the cricket match, and it was really good.
We did, but that's it's horses for courses, right? You go to a cricket match and you kind of expect that you might be able to get good Indian food. I don't think baseball in Cleveland let me get some paneer. But the other issue you sometimes have to think about is like, how easy is this to eat? Like rice, not always. Like it's messy, you have spillage possibility. I think I would be passing on but it might be great. Like that might be the best thing you can get there. If someone I trusted told me, hey, when you're going, like the curry is really, really good, then maybe I would do it. But
what about the Cuban dog? It's a playful twist on a classic featuring Montgomery Inn pulled pork, diced ham, white cheese sauce, and a pickle spear served with a vegetarian sausage on a hot dog bun. I don't know why they decided to go vegetarian sausage after making pulled pork and ham on it.
Vegetarian pork too. But I guess I'm confused. Maybe Cleveland has a larger Cuban population than I was aware of, but like I like when stadiums or teams have like food that is based on like the type of food that you might eat in that area. And this just seems like random. Like if you just read me this list of menu items and then you said, guess which like Major League Baseball team had these. I don't know where I'm picking, but I'm definitely not picking Cleveland. I'd probably be picking, because you got like the Indian. I'd probably be going like a New York based team. Like, oh, it's a little bit of a melting pot of different Obviously, the Cuban makes you think of South Florida, but yeah, I don't. That would be my criticism. Like, I like teams that kind of embrace their local culture as part of the food that they're putting out there, and this doesn't feel like that.
Well, perfect segue. I got 2 left. Fried chicken and JoJo's, which I had to look up what the fuck a JoJo is, but apparently it's what people in this area call a potato wedge. So it is a restaurant favorite from James Beard nominated chef Vinny Camino of the Cleveland area. It's a Midwest style fried chicken drumstick with schmaltzy za'atar sauce served with magic salt JoJo's.
I'm sure that's good. Again, it still doesn't make me think Midwest. Like, I didn't know, but yeah, this should be my, this would be all of these items might be very tasty, but it just doesn't feel like you're building a menu for the area in which they're
last
available.
One. Chicken bites. Boneless wings served with a choice of signature sauces featuring smoky barbecue and extra medium.
Okay, the blandest really of the things you've described. Probably good. I'm very much in favor of the boneless wing.
What if I told you get 50% off because these are available at Fatheads? It's the restaurant on the right field district.
Yeah. I've been to Fatheads Brewery.
Yeah, I bet you have.
Yeah, those sound fine. Again, it just like the overall takeaway is like this doesn't feel like you've crafted a menu to be reflective of the kind of local community or food trends, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Now you've really hit the head because once I saw that, it got me searching. What are like the top ballpark foods coming out this year or the ones you got to try? So I found a list of the 12 crazy Major League Baseball ballpark foods to try in 2024. And these are a little more tailored to the area. So the number 1 is the Birria egg rolls from San Diego, California. Egg rolls filled with shredded seasoned beef comes with a creamy dipping sauce and sliced Fresno chilies. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that does sound good, yeah.
Okay. Phoenix has the XL foot-long Sonoran hot dog. So it's Sonoran style, which means it's like wrapped in smoked bacon, has ranch beans, mayo, mustard, pico de gallo, all piled onto a Nathan's brand foot-long hot dog.
Yeah, see, to me, that gets bonus points for 2 reasons. You're having the local element within the food, but you're also serving up like traditional ballpark food. Like innovation on the hot dog, easy to eat when you're in your seat. It's what I'm going to expect to order if I go to a baseball game. Like I'm going to expect to have a hot dog. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to the baseball game tonight. Hope I can get a good curry. But yeah, that to me so far is the winner.
Okay. How about the Dino Rib from Coors Field in Denver, Colorado? Ever wish you could feel like Fred Flintstone watching a Rockies game? Now you can gnaw on this giant 20-ounce beef rib still on the bone. Bonus, it comes with an herb salad on the side.
So presumably, I mean, you're not eating that at your seat. Like this is...
It looks, it's on a plate in the picture.
It might be, again, all of these things might be delicious, but I'm not going to a baseball game to eat that.
Okay, how about the Mets Championship Burger in Citi Field? So the burger features a hamburger and then creamy Maine lobster seafood salad on top, coated in a cheesy lobster fondue on a fancy fennel brioche bun.
Yeah.
So basically, it's if you combined a burger and a lobster roll.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I don't know if that's very Mets themed.
Yeah, still, it's a burger. You again associate that. I'm like going to a ball game.
Now here's a local themed one that could be good: the Renegade hot dog from PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is a 12-inch dog topped with shredded beef pot roast, caramelized onions, pickle slices, and the most adorable mini pierogies.
I mean, that sounds like a lot. Like, I don't know if I want a hot dog with pierogies on it, but
it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's nice. That would tempt me way more than a lot of the things that have been mentioned so far.
Now this one is kind of weird. It's the dog gone foul from the American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's a hot dog with a chicken finger, ranch, secret stadium sauce, and tater tots. Weird. Hot dog with a chicken fingers just seems weird to me.
Yeah, it's a strange combination. But I don't know, because I could order that if I were at a ball game and I was wanting to like have a decent amount of stadium food. That could be. I think that's a combination I actually had when I went to the Jags game in November. I think I had a hot dog and chicken fingers
together in one bite.
Not in one bite, no. But I think that was I'm pretty sure, if I can recall correctly, I think that was the order of what I got. I was like, oh, I want to try a hot dog and I want the chicken tenders. So
this is one you might like, coming to us from the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is 2 small smash burgers topped with lettuce and tomato with a side of nacho cheese in a team helmet.
You're just doing it for the helmet. But no, smash burgers to me, I'm not a huge fan. I think they're like the overrated burger.
A smash burger slider, even worse. What are you actually getting there then? Like 1 ounce of a patty?
I'm not saying like smash burgers are bad. Like you can have a good smash burger, but I feel like it's one of those like food trends that sort of negatively impacted the quality of burgers. Because people just like just shit meat
smashing everything
smashed together, like overcooked, and you're like, well, this isn't great. Like I'd prefer a nice juicy burger, but this is what you're giving me.
How about a sweet treat like that provided by the Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago, Illinois? I didn't know that was the White Sox stadium name. What a great name. It's a crazy milkshake that is the campfire milkshake, chocolate shake topped with graham crackers, chocolate bars, and toasted marshmallows.
Well, it might be
a little messy.
That's too much. I'm basic when it comes to donuts and milkshakes, so that wouldn't be my order.
Okay, a few more here.
Okay, how long are we?
There's 3 more. The Dungeness Crab Pizza from T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington. So it's a Detroit-style thick sourdough crust topped with shredded Dungeness crab meat, melted butter, herbs, Parmesan, and a splash of lemon.
I don't think I'm not a big seafood on pizza guy in general. It's not my thing.
Okay, the Fielder's Catch in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's 2 lobster tails, 3 fried oysters, sweet potato fries, candied bacon, shredded lettuce, tomatoes, and spicy peach remoulade in a split top bun.
Wait, 2 lobster tails in one bun?
How 2 lobster tails, 3 fried oysters, sweet potato fries, candied bacon.
In like a sandwich?
In a sandwich.
How big is this?
It looks pretty big. It says it's pretty much a full seafood dinner.
I mean, it sounds
costs
like
$50.
Oh, more even.
I'm a little angry they're not giving us the prices on these things.
Yeah, because that would be a factor. Like if you told me that's on the menu, I mean, I would become a little bit suspicious, I guess, if I'm in Atlanta getting lobster tails for $12. But like there'd be an element here of if that were $25, that maybe it's a little bit tempting. But if you tell me it's $60, then there's no way I'm ordering it.
So it is $41.99.
Okay, no.
The last one, the Back to Blue Burger in Kansas City, Missouri. The Royals have a new burger complete with a bright blue bun to match the team's colors. It's got bacon, blue cheese, buffalo-style aioli, lettuce, and tomato. And that's it. The blue
I'll
bun
also
is the highlight. It actually
Yeah.
looks quite gross. It doesn't look appetizing to eat a burger off of like a royal blue bun.
Yeah, and imagine if you throw up later, then that would be really add some color to the waterworks. But yeah, no, I'd mostly pass on those things. I just think I guess I know with me going to sporting events, I just want relatively decent beer for not that it's not that expensive.
Oh, good
And
luck
for
on
the
that.
most part, for the most part, I want my food to just be like stuff that I would expect to eat at a stadium,
So
like a simple hot
you don't
dog.
like to go for like the gimmicky like local favorite.
If it were like the example from like the Diamondbacks with that type of hot dog,
The Sonoran hot
sure.
dog.
But if you're talking about like
A
something that
$42 po' boy sandwich, no good.
no, probably not. I'd rather go to a nice place outside of the stadium
Or
and
the
look for
pizza topped
something.
with crab meat.
Yeah, look for something similar. And it depends, obviously, the type of sporting event that you're at. Like, I don't know, we went to the Breeders' Cup in LA. I was happy to get a lobster roll there, but I'm not getting a lobster roll at a
You ate a
baseball
lot of
game.
lobster rolls in LA.
I did eat a lot. Well, two. I wouldn't exactly say that was a lot, but yeah, on 2 days I had lobster rolls. Then that I was okay with. Now that wasn't cheap either. That was an expensive lobster roll at Breeders' Cup,
Yeah.
but the setting felt right for that type of thing. I would not have made the same decision at a baseball game or a football game. Then I would have been looking hot dog, burger, whatever. So, you know,
Speaking of Breeders' Cup, we do plan to go again next year in San Diego. And my question to you, Eddie, is the cowboy hat coming back? Are you going to travel with the cowboy hat?
So yeah, the cowboy hat's definitely coming back. I think,
Now, are you
especially
going to
because
travel on the plane with it? Are you going to like wear it to Charles de Gaulle Airport and then like take it off and put it up top and then put it back on when you get to Phoenix?
so I think unfortunately I have no choice but to travel with it like that because
That's going to be so funny.
because not having gone for the crushable cowboy hat option, admittedly those were like $600. It means that I don't have the ability to easily pack this thing. So the only safe way to travel with it is to wear it, and then like I wouldn't even put it in the overhead compartment. I think I'm gonna have to put it under my. I'm not gonna wear it on mid-flight, but I think.
Thank you, ma'am. She gives you like your water down the drink cart, tipping the hat to her.
I think I'm gonna have to wear it. Like I'm gonna have to wear it in the airport and then put it underneath the seat. I mean, I might not have to wear it. I could attach it maybe to my backpack or something. I can probably figure something out along those lines.
Now, will an
stow it under the
additional
seat.
accessory be added on the next trip? Like, is the plan in the next 5 years you just build yourself to be a complete
outfit?
cowboy? Like the last year, you just come home with like a horse and a saddle.
I think there's a possibility that yes.
Boots. Are boots next?
It's two different things, right? It's either boots or a belt. Like those are the two.
A belt is a good option.
The belt is more like less expensive than going the boot option. Yeah. So there's
build
that
up
to factor in. And also like I could get more life out of the belt because there'd be scenarios where I could wear it anyway and like it's covered by a sweatshirt or something, so you don't have to be like show off that you're wearing some big belt buckle.
Now, when people do buy the nice big belt buckle, they like to pull the move of like tucking the shirt kind of inside the belt buckle so you see the buckle. Will you be doing that?
Probably not. Not until I got the full outfit. Not until I've also got the boots.
You can't do that wearing Nikes.
No. So I think, that's the when everything is in place. The other thing that
I could get like a scenario where like 2 weeks a year you just turn into a full cowboy. You've completely gone mad.
The bolo tie is also kind of tempting. Like that.
You can't really wear it in many situations.
No.
Like you can wear your hat and your belt almost every day that you come to visit the Southwest. You can't really wear a bolo tie every day unless it's a special occasion.
No, I mean, the argument for the bolo tie is if I did want to kind of complete this transformation, is that I could try and go to Royal Ascot in cowboy boots, a cowboy hat, and a bolo tie, because they do allow for like regional representation in your wear. So I could go full cowboy approach with the bolo tie at Royal Ascot, and that would probably get me on TV. Because I do think, in the same way that people take the photos of like the guys from the Middle East, and when they go the full outfit, I think it'd be like, wow, there's like a cowboy here, but not really a cowboy.
So how long have you been a rancher? Oh, no years. I live in Paris.
I'm not even American. Just love the aesthetic. But yeah, no, it's I think I'll add the one item, and I think this year it would be the belt.
The belt. Okay. I'll start searching for best Western belt shops in Phoenix and San Diego areas.
Yeah. The place, they didn't have belts. Well, maybe they did have belts where we
I know. Actually, I know of a place in Phoenix that has really nice belts.
Okay. Because we had to throw in, like, Vass could buy himself a cowboy hat. I could see him, and I don't know, that would, to be perfectly honest with you, if Vass is also wearing a cowboy hat, that would make me...
Then he just fucking Brokeback Mountain.
That would make me want to wear my cowboy hat less, I have to be honest. Because at least with me, when I speak, it takes someone a little bit longer to be like, maybe he is a cowboy. Like, it's possible. When Vass opens his mouth with he'll have his like diamond stud earring in his left ear, and then he'll have his Greek accent when he starts to talk. I guess he could be a Greek cowboy, but
you'll definitely get the Brokeback Mountain hecklers.
Yeah, bring it on. Yeah. I guess one story, maybe before we completely wrap things up, worth mentioning is that the U.S. sports being obviously plagued by betting controversies at the moment. We've mentioned Shohei Ohtani and his bizarre story with his translator placing bets and then being bailed out by Ohtani, and it's unclear whether he was betting on Ohtani's behalf or how much Ohtani really knew about what was going on. Similar, don't know if you saw, but Jontay Porter has been permanently received a lifetime ban for violating the league's gaming rules. He was caught having placed bets on the NBA and also like through a friend, and also got caught in a suspicious activity in terms of large prop bets that were being placed on him and then bizarre performances from him.
Awesome. Great move.
Which the prop bets is the ridiculous. I think he got caught because basically people were putting thousands of dollars on his unders. He is a random, relatively speaking, NBA player. It's not exactly going to be the area that a sports book expects to take a lot of action. And you have to be smart enough to know that they're all sharing information with each other. And when it gets noticed that this like 11th man on the roster is suddenly being just hammered on the under for his prop bets, that they're probably going to look into it a little bit. So that's what's ultimately got him caught. But the thing that amused me was in the official press release that the NBA came out with, it said that so relating to those prop bets, the league's investigation also found that Porter limited his own game participation to influence the outcome of one or more bets on his performance in at least one Raptors game. In the March 20th game, Porter played only 3 minutes, claiming that he felt ill. Due to the unusual betting activity and actions of the player, the $80,000 proposition bet was frozen and was not paid out. I don't know how you think you're putting an $80,000 prop bet down and it's not getting looked into, in a lot of detail. But in addition, from January through March 2024, while traveling with the Raptors or Raptors 905, the Raptors NBA G League affiliate, Porter placed at least 13 bets on NBA games using an associate's online betting account. This is the part that amuses me. The bets ranged in size from $15 to $22,000. He's like, no, you know what? I don't feel so. I'll throw 15 on this. What's your next guy going to be? 22,000.
How are they allowing a $22,000 prop bet?
No, this is not prop bets. This is like
Oh, just like okay.
These are like the prop bet was what got him caught because that was and that he didn't place. It's just obviously some friends of his placed this, and he decided to fake illness in order to make sure that the unders hit. But so he placed a total of $54,094 of bets between January through March. The total payout from these bets was $76,059, resulting in net winnings of $21,965. None of these bets involved any game in which Porter played. 3 of the bets were multi-game parlay bets that included one Raptors game in which Porter bet that the Raptors would lose. I think that's the really bad look, is that you threw an accumulator on and you put your own team to lose in it. But it's so strange to me from a decision-making standpoint. Like, this year, he is making $411,000, $412,000 basically. Why, when you're making $412,000, are you risking breaking NBA betting rules by throwing on a $15 accumulator on the NBA games?
Well, I mean, it has to be because they're probably spending all their money elsewhere and they have no money.
It's possibly true. It's obviously interesting too because his brother is also an NBA player. Like Jontay Porter is not that famous. Otto Porter, his brother, is like a little bit more of a high profile player. So, that's a little bit, it makes the story a little bit more interesting. His brother making a lot of money. So if he did need money, you would have thought his brother might have been able to help him out because he's had some big contracts over the last few years, and he had one big deal he signed with the Wizards where he was making $20 million plus a year. So, but yeah, I think it's going to become more and more commonplace, right, in the U.S. with the legalization of betting and all of that stuff. We've obviously seen the NFL had that slight issue with players placing bets in the facility, even though they weren't betting on NFL games. Then you have the Shohei Ohtani controversy, which baseball is doing such a good job of just burying.
Yeah.
Just ignore it and really, really hope that it will go away. The same is with Ohtani. Like the bets, they're vary in size too. Where I saw an article breaking it down where it was like his smallest bet that he placed was like $5, and then his largest bet is like in the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars.
That's crazy.
And like one of the comments on the article I was reading, which made me laugh, was like, he placed that $5 on like a 25 team accumulator, hoping to win back the 40 million, just like last roll of the dice. But
he had a $5 bonus bet in his account left at the end.
Yeah, please. If I can just win $40 million, none of this will come to light. And the Ohtani one's obviously interesting because they're two very different issues. Ohtani, his translator was going through illegal sports betting. So, for example, if you were going to be Porter and you're going to take this risk, you'd think you'd be going through illegal bookies because at least then you're not getting caught in the way in which he was, which was the activity being flagged and being sent to the league. Because you're not going to have an illegal bookmaker be like, whoa, I better call up the NBA front head office because some guy's really pounding the Porter under.
So the last thing, Eddie, that I've got just quickly is a little trivia. Just to end, we can end on a trivia note. So Fanatics, the site that sells sports apparel, just announced that they had their highest selling jersey of any sports player on draft night. So the jersey like being bought on the actual night of the draft of whatever league. Do you want to guess who that was?
Okay, say the parameters again. Sorry.
So Fanatics just announced that there was the highest selling jersey on draft night recently?
On any draft night, or
on any draft night for any player. So
well, I guess because of the timing, I'll say it's Caitlin Clark.
It is Caitlin Clark. That is not, though, the good trivia. The good trivia is, who did she surpass?
So this is across any American
sport.
And specifically sales on draft
night.
Like, okay. I've got a couple candidates in mind. I'm leaning towards the NFL. Is that the right decision for me to make? I'm very tempted to go Johnny Manziel when he was drafted by Cleveland.
It is not Johnny Manziel. He might have at one time been, but he is not.
Okay, so it's more recent than Johnny Manziel.
Yes.
So is it in the last 5 years? Ooh, it's
yes.
on the cusp. Is it Trevor Lawrence?
It is Trevor Lawrence.
That's kind of surprising just because the Jags don't exactly have that many fans.
But I think it just shows how much of a savior he was going to be for that franchise, right?
And the lack of other players, like recognizable players they have. Like, well, I'm going to get a new jersey now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Caitlin Clark craze.
Save it for later. Save it for later.
Continues.
Save it for later.
Okay, next episode.
All right, with that, I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.